everybody. My name is Lyndon. I'm CEO of a company called Beep Extra, cyberspace company, and this interview is discussing the incidents that happened between our company and myself as an individual and Common Law Court and John Smith there. Now, I've invited Dolores Rubio here, Spanish lady who's living in the United States, and I've known for, I think, a couple of years now. Obviously, she was key involved in some of the incidents that led up to the parting of the ways and the hideous things that were said against myself and the company Beep. So, Dolores, thank you for coming on. And if you'd just like to introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hi, Lyndon. Hi, everybody. I am Dolores, and for a couple of years, almost 3 years, I've been involved with Common Law Court. I got to know them first in June 2021, and I recorded my family and my friends and everybody, even people that I didn't know who didn't speak English and they needed my help to register their status as a living man or woman in Common Law Court. I have to say that I thought it is an online system of recording our status on their land and soil, like I've done in the States. Now, after 2.5 years, I realized maybe it's not exactly the same, but that's what I thought, and that's why I did it. This is 2021. In 2022, I received a series of trainings. I can, if you want, share the screen. Can I share the screen, Lyndon?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen so that everybody sees my credentials as a Common Law Court advocate, which I trained with Lyndon the same time in January 2022. I'm going to share my screen so that you see my credential for that. And also later on in June, I took the CLC constable training and I traveled to Cyprus to do that. This CLC advocate, I have to say I took it twice, one in person in January and another one online in May and June for 6 weeks. Okay, so right, that's good. Dolores.
Okay, so you're quite well educated in this system that you became a Common Law Court advocate. I think that's where we first met, wasn't it? I think that's when we met on that course together. And of course, although you're living in the United States and Spain, you flew to Cyprus to become a constable. I remember that because I was running the training and then you became a constable with me, with the very same constable training course that was supposed to have changed. And I think you can confirm that that hasn't changed one little bit since when you came to Cyprus. So, right, I think you wanted to talk about, before we get on to the event in Spain, I think you've got a couple of comments you asked me to raise about car registration plates, insurances and passports. So you've got the floor to talk about for a minute or two.
Okay, thank you very much. The first thing I want to say is that I've been living in the United States of America since 2008, and my family became citizens of the United States. So in October 2021, we got our US passports. So I want to show the first part of a passport, the first page. You can see here, you can get your passport as a citizen or as a national of the United States. So because I'm also receiving a lot of training and studying very hard here, common law and international law, I know the difference between being a citizen of the US corporation or being a national of the land, okay? So my family and I got national passport, and this is not just reduced to people who are studying. This is for every single American who has been born in this land, on this land, in any state. They can apply for a passport as a national, okay? So when I became familiar with common law courts, and in April 2021, the people who had done their training as a constable, we were offered, would you like to become a diplomat of common law court and have a passport? So of course, in my ignorance, I thought this passport would be very similar to the one I had in America. And I'm going to share here my passport, my common law court passport, common law court diplomat. And I was, innocent enough to believe that this will be a passport on the land and soil. And that's not the case. And other people have got their passport, not diplomats, but passports, common law court passports. I have encouraged a lot of people in Spain and outside of Spain, actually, to get the common law court passport on the good faith that I thought it will help us produce documents that are alternatives to the corporation documents, right? So regarding this document, when you travel, sometimes they accept it, sometimes they don't. And that is only really depending on the particular civil servant you have in front of you. As we know, there is a lot of immigration going on these days. So the officials at the passports control, they don't really know every single nationality that is going through the airport. So when you show this common law court passport, they may think that you are from a country that they don't know. They really don't associate this with common law court being a nation. I just wanted to clarify this because even though I've used this passport to travel by train in Spain, it is not really useful to travel international. That's my opinion.
In the United Kingdom now, it's on border control. It's actually flagged now on their website. The common law court passport is now flagged as a fantasy passport. So it's now actually that they are actually looking out for it now. All right.
So the other thing, so this passport is something that people need to be aware of. Is useful for certain things, but don't rely on it to travel. You always have to have your official passport from your country. So the other thing that concerned me even last year in Spain, we organized a gathering, and I spent 4 days exclusively talking about common law, about their website, about their platform, and how it could help us being on the land and soil, because I was still innocent of me believing that that was an alternative. Right. So there was one thing that I didn't want people to do because I saw that very clear. As you know, besides the passports, we also, common law court offers number plates and insurance. So this is the number plate I purchased, and normally it's £50. I pay £100. Because I wanted one specific with these letters, which stands for do no harm.
Okay. Yeah.
Number one. Yeah. Right. And I actually kind of said, oh, can I have at least 7 so that my son, my husband, my cousin, my whoever, because I like it, do no harm. However, when you buy the number plate, you also have to buy the insurance. Last summer, I didn't have the insurance myself, although I paid for it, but I happened to see the insurance documents that another colleague, another person got. And we got to study that document. And that document is very inaccurate. Literally, there are very many spelling mistakes, but the other thing is not practical for anyone, because if you have an incident with your car, you cannot call any company to come and repair your car, and let alone if you harm somebody in a car accident. It's nice to have in your car if you don't have any problems, but the moment you have a problem, I don't think it's very ethical to have an insurance that doesn't cover the next person that you may harm. So, of course, my husband being very, very picky about official documents, he scrutinized that document, and a few of us read it and studied it, and we decided that we couldn't really, in conscience, we couldn't advise anybody to get the drivers, the not driver plate and this insurance.
I know.
However, normally, if you're not happy with that, they should get a refund, because you bought a product. In my case, I paid $320 for the insurance and £100. I got my number plate. I keep it as a souvenir. I won't use it in my car, but the insurance is not safe. So in November, when I went up to Scotland for another training, November 2022, I specifically asked John, what is happening about the number plates? Because, you know, people have bought this and they are very excited to use it, and it's not really practical. And he told me that it hasn't really worked, but nevertheless, they had 50% success and 50% failure. So I didn't think that was a very good answer, because what about the 50% that failed? Maybe the 50% that worked were the one that dealt with bureaucrats or police enforcement officers that didn't really know what they were doing. So for me, both the number plate and the passport have the same flaw. It's just lucky. If you're lucky, you may get away with it. But I don't think in this day and age, with all the problems that humanity is going through, I don't think we can let anything just to lack.
No, I think it's taking people down a blind alley, isn't it? And we've got enough to deal with in the freedom movement without, you know, and getting despondent with things. You know, we have a lot to deal with in the freedom movement, and then to have something that there's no backup, no support, that somebody loses their car or has trouble with their insurance or trouble in an airport with a passport, then you'd imagine that somebody from common law court would be straight on the phone, an emergency helpline number. Yes, they do put on the website, you're on your own, but most people don't read that and don't realize that they are on their own until they are exposed as on their own, facing having their car crushed, facing arrest at an airport. And I think to expose people in the freedom movement to that is just simply not on. Right, can we move on to the actual event in Spain, Dolores, and you explain to the viewers how that came about?
Okay, so I was, after that event in the summer in Spain, as you can see, I'm very keen supporter of common law court. So in the fall, when I went to Europe again, I did something really crazy. And with the volunteers that helped me from that event in the summer, we organized a fall, in the autumn, a tour of myself where I visited different places, giving talks all about common law. As you can see, the common law court is there, the colors, because we were mainly talking about common law. I did a talk in Malaga, in Coruña twice, actually, in Valencia, in Almería, in Murcia, and Madrid. So because I was meeting so many people and so many people were interested, and I have to say most of the people don't speak English, so I got really excited about maybe getting even more training so that I could help more people and I could help common law court, because I realized there aren't that many people in the actual common law court office. And that's another thing we should say. Common law court, the word court is like a plural word. When people think of the word court, if it's a tribunal or tribunal in Espanol, we think of several people, a group of people, even if it's a small group. Well, common law court really is an office. And in the office, we have John Smith, we have great helpers there, and office staff. But really is not the idea that people have that is a place or an organization where you get that type of support that you were talking about, Lyndon. In my experience, talking to people, I think this is what people think, that you can just call in anytime. And in my case, because I'm supposed to be the diplomat in Spain, you know, people are bombarding me with questions and asking me for help, and not just in Spain, also people from other countries who speak Spanish. So because I saw the need of providing this support to people, I suggested more training for myself, and I went to Dundee again at the end of November, even though I was flying home on the 2nd of December, so it was really tight. But I went just to help people in Spain and people in Dundee in common law court. So as a result of that trip and my conversation with John, I'm grateful. He gave me 3 days of attention. We agreed to have an event, okay? And that event, the first time was suggested pencil for March 2023. Ideally, because I live in America, it's not good for me going back and forward so many times because it costs a lot of money, the flights and my energy. But I agree because that's when he said he could do it. And I said, okay, I'll find myself something else to do. And so I prepare. So we have communications about that event from the 20th of December. I'm communicating with Dee by email. Is this a good time? Is this a good place? What do you think? So I am going to share the screen of the first flyer that I produce, just really a starting point to, just saying where it will be in Spain and the dates, because by the time I share this first flyer, we had agreed that March was not possible for them, and we agree on the dates of April 22, 23. Okay. Now, the first flyer really didn't go very well with John because it was very basic, and he said, no, we need to talk. We need to talk about this event. I said, okay, so we talk. I can share the screen when we talk. That happened on the 2nd of March. And as you can see from this, I'm going to share the screen in a sec. So I talked to him for 24 minutes and 27 minutes on March 22nd.
March the 2nd, yeah?
Sorry, yeah, March the 2nd, we had this conversation, nearly half an hour, where he told me basically if he were to come to Spain, he would have to appear on the flyer 4 times. And there was a possibility of doing a court, common law court. It will be a little tight to prepare, but he said we need to announce it publicly, but that wouldn't be a problem because we can just announce it the night before on Saturday night on the website of Common Law Court. So
can you say that again? Announce what on the website?
So the idea was that if you do a common law court, you need to announce it publicly. Okay. So he suggested to announce it the night before, Saturday night, on Common Law Court website. Okay.
Well, okay. So where was the jury going to come from?
Well, the jury will become from the public in Spain.
By announcing it the night before.
Correct.
Okay,
I
we'll let the viewers decide on that.
I understood the announcement was to make it public to everybody to see, not just to ask for jury, but to make it public to the authorities that we were in theory doing that.
Okay. Let's not labor that point. Okay, so
it was quite. I got excited of the possibility that we could do a common law court because I've never done one. It wasn't my original intention to do that. He suggested that on March the 2nd. So that gave me extra work with the group and by myself and my husband trying to put together evidence and put together the statements and all of that sort of thing. Anyway, so the second flyer that we created after this conversation that I just shared, then I sent it to him for review, and I can share the screen again. So my husband, who is English, hadn't actually checked it. So in fact, it was because I was in a hurry, desperate to send it to him as soon as possible. So Nigel didn't check it. So I sent it to John, and obviously he spotted some spelling mistakes. And so this is my interaction with Janice. If you can see on the screen, I sent the corrections made that he found, that John Smith found. So we exchanged 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 emails with these corrections, and this is starting in March 17. And then the final version of the flyer that was going to start being shared was on the 22nd. Okay.
So it's 100% going ahead because from the 17th of March to the 22nd of March, there are 5 or 6 emails there with corrections. So so this event in the eyes of John Smith and the staff at Common Law Court it's definitely proceeding. Okay. Right.
That's exact, because they check the spelling of the flyer. You don't check the spelling of the flyer if you're not planning to come.
Agreed. Yeah. Okay.
So then what the flyer that we're talking about is this flyer that I'm going to share in a second. And as you can see, because he told me he wanted to be 4 times in the event, so he is the opening person, introduction to Common Law Court on a Saturday, and he's also closing that day, talking about the Kroon community and the Kroon currency and all of that sort of thing.
Okay, all right.
This is Saturday, and then on Sunday he was again opening at 9 a.m. and he was obviously doing the Common Law Court event at 4 p.m. until closing. So he's
going to the Common Law Court. He's going to talk about Kroon. He's going to talk about common law, and notably, he's got Angelos in the room, the creator of the steroid blockchain. So if you got into any difficulty with the Kroon or something not being right, he'd got the man actually in the same room to help him out. Okay, so it's
correct. In fact, as you can see, when John comes first, you too come after him.
Yeah, sure.
So this is a cooperation. As far as I can see, it was all transparent and in good faith, everything done in good faith. Yeah, at least my part.
Well, this was where Angelos and I were saying to each other, it looks like we're all going on this, and Angelos would fly from Cyprus to the United Kingdom. And I thought at the time this would be a nice opportunity to take Angelos into the building in Scotland at Common Law Court, and maybe then we all jump on the same plane from perhaps Edinburgh Airport and fly directly to Spain, to Murcia or Alicante, 2 or 3 hours drive.
And as you know from our emails, I was also offering to go and pick you all up.
Absolutely. So it's just we're all going. We just haven't discussed it with John. And then you dropped the bombshell on us, didn't you? If you can share the screen when you first learned.
Yeah. So on the 22nd, as you remember, the date is the same date that they got the final version of the flyer.
Yes.
I don't know what happened on that day.
Or something happened to say
Something
yes.
happened, which we don't know what it is. But then I got this message through Skype saying, I'm writing, however, to confirm. Confirm that I can't make the agreed dates in April. So these dates were agreed. When you agreed dates, especially since we were planning, or he was planning to mention this event on the Common Law Court newsletter, I said to everybody in Common Law Court, look, when people are flying from Germany, Denmark, Italy, France, I am flying from the States. We need at least 3 months so that people can prepare their flights and make their arrangements. So I booked my flight in February after talking to him twice and confirmed twice that he was coming. I didn't book my flight until I was 100% sure that this was going ahead. So then he says, no, I can't. And I was shocked. You can see my message here. I said, I'm very sorry to read your message. I cannot let people down who have already booked their flights and took time out of work for the event. The same week, one of the presenters had confirmed to me, send myself these flights, confirming that he was coming. And I said, I cannot afford to cancel my flight myself, right?
Yeah, and you asked him here if he could appear virtually, so you don't even have to leave the office, just come on Zoom and do it.
Correct. So I said, well, how about virtually, as we do everything these days, unfortunately. And to my disappointment, he said no. I didn't understand why, because I think people will be disappointed, but at least if he's there. So he said this should not have been agreed. I mean, you have agreed.
Can I just jump in on that comment? This should not have been happening as we agreed the flight. So on the very same day, for the viewers, you've just seen that Dolores is actually making the 6th set of corrections with John Smith on the same day. And he's saying that we agreed that this should not happen unless the fly is confirmed, which I think is a very paltry excuse. Okay, that to say something like that. And it goes go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say that I was in shock, to be honest. I didn't talk to anyone for a week or so because I was in pure shock. I was working on this project all the month of December, all the month of January, all the month of February, and all the month of March, because the event was in April. You cannot change your mind a month and expect that nobody has been doing anything for the last 3 months.
So something happened on March 22 that he's obviously he's not telling you about. And also notably on that last paragraph, it says our sites if they did not work. We've highlighted that. So he's basically blaming Beep. I can't give the presentation until problems have been resolved. I can't explain our system if our sites don't work. Well, you will remember, Dolores, that you sat on this for a while and then you disclosed to us that John's not coming because he's saying that the sites are not working. So Angelos and I made absolutely certain that everything was working within 2 clear weeks of that event to remove that excuse. And he still said he wasn't going to come. He didn't give a reason. Oh, he did actually. When we confronted him, he said, let's book the flights, let's jump on the same plane. He said, I'm not going. And we actually pretended not to know, right? And why are you not coming? Okay, because we knew that to you here on this message that he blamed us for not having the sites ready. So we wanted to challenge him on that to see if he would tell the truth as to why he cancelled with you was because the sites were not working and the flyer was not correct. Okay, and other dubious excuses. when you find out that Bruce did attend virtually anyway, there was no reason why he couldn't have attended. He had Angelos in the room, would quite easily have supported him in making the any explanation about the sites not working. All these excuses were very, very thin excuses, but more disingenuous would be the fact that he said to you that he's not coming because the site's not working, but to us, he said, Dolores has not finished all the common law court documents yet, which is why. So to your face, he blamed us, and to our face, he blamed you. So at the very bottom, it's very strange that at the bottom there, Dolores, he said, he started asking you to take the logo off, didn't he? I just don't understand that.
Yeah, that I couldn't understand either, because as you can see, I've been supporting common law 2021, bringing a lot of people, doing events, especially to promote common law court, really killing myself traveling from one place to another, always with the logo of common law court, because that's what I believe in. And then suddenly he decides, no, you're going to use the logo. So I also want to share that I am not a graphic designer. That flyer, I had to learn how to use a graphic design program to use it. So I was very frustrated, and in the end, I managed to produce that. So the thought of having to change the whole flyer before I was traveling, and remember, I also have a life. And I also need to do things before I travel and before I am away for 7 weeks from my house, you know. So I was translating until 2 a.m. in the morning, editing documents in Spanish for the website. I just couldn't think of how on earth I was going to change the whole flyer, because the 4 slots that he was taking, I didn't have a clue who was going to cover that. And we actually only managed that 2 weeks before the event, thanks to the
I think we've made our point on those slides. We're going to stop sharing on that, Dolores.
Okay.
Have you got anything else you want to share? I think we've gone through the things that you said you wanted to share. But if we can just talk about the actual event for a few minutes. What happened at the event? Me, you, Angelos, Bruce on Zoom talking, that we were all frustrated about constable cards being stopped and this wasn't happening fast enough. Spain, the authorities were getting aggressive, and I know you were frustrated that nothing was happening at the required speed. And we kind of sort of said, look, you know, if you wanted to create a constable, independent constable force, then we would help you with that. Okay, and you also, both you and I, Dolores, are advocates for common law court, so we should know how to convene a common law court, and we agreed, let's do one. Okay, and we said, well, let's ask the people. While we're at it, let's do a grand jury of 25 people. Okay, and then and really all we were doing was asking our peer group for a consensus opinion on setting up an independent constable body. And of course, John Smith then started attacking you for various things. Okay, what can you remember what he was actually saying that we did that we shouldn't have done?
Well, during those weeks in Spain, I was getting more and more examples of people in our group being attacked very viciously by the authorities. So for a year now, we had been asking John for support to send notifications to the state, right? But we couldn't do that until the people who are willing to help others are protected in a way. And in my innocence, again, I thought the training of constable will prepare them well and be protected. But we haven't been able to prepare anybody as a constable in Spain because of different circumstances, and mainly because we haven't notified the authorities. So in the event, we decided this is a good chance We are a bunch of us together. People came from all over Spain, some of them traveling long hours just to see John Smith. They didn't get to meet the man. But we decided to set up a community. And then since we were there and we were enough people to have 25 in the jury, we decided on the spur of the moment. This was not planned. As I wasn't planning to do a common law court with John, he suggested that on the 2nd of March. I want to make sure that people know that there was no premeditation on that. We needed to do something on the spot. And we took that opportunity to encourage people and inspire people that there is something good happening.
Well, John said that we were attacking the people of the common law court. But you were there, you saw us set it up. Do you think any of us were planning on attacking the structure of the common law court by doing what we did?
No. In every moment we said, well, John hasn't been able to be here for technical reasons, because this is what he told me on the email to tell people. And we were talking as we normally talk, nicely. In fact, I think at some point somebody must have talked about common law court. We never talk any bad about him or the common law court, because we cannot, because we've got to know each other thanks to that work. I am always very grateful. So there is no evil intention. And when I talked to him after the event, I said, John, because he was presenting the obstacles, that there were some technical issues, there were some people in Zoom, that's not the way you do it. And I said, well, John, everything is on Zoom these days. I don't know how you say that. And I said, I don't think it's that serious. This is just a community in Spain who want to work together, as simple as that. And we didn't appointed any juries from the public there. We said, we need so many juries, we need a bailiff, we need a sheriff, we need a secretary, who wants to do it? And people put their hands up voluntarily. They did that. And we wrote an invitation to the whole village.
Yeah.
And we printed that information, and I myself and another 4 people went around the town, and we stuck there on the main square next to the town hall, and where an internet place, office where people can go and use internet, and the medical center and the sports center, and also even in a rural area where people go for walks. And there were lots of people going past because of a party or something. So we did our best to invite the town, which is not.
I remember that. I remember some people from the village, Spanish-speaking people, they couldn't speak English at all. Turned up very bemused, asking, what is this event, the court that's happening here today? And I would dare to suggest that was probably one of the most properly convened common law courts there's ever been, because you actually invite people from
the town,
from the local town. Yeah, so we did a great job there. And we were both questioned about lawfulness, weren't we? Okay, and
that I don't understand very well, Lyndon, because I think if we are all under the principle of do no harm, what could be unlawful about a group of free men and women, and young and old and children, all getting together to form a community? What is there unlawful about that? I mean, there are millions of communities being set up all over the world. There is nothing unlawful about that. And also, I am nobody to decide what is lawful and what is not unlawful. So why is John Smith suddenly self-appointed authority to decide what is lawful and what is not lawful? I don't think that's on. That's not.
I agree with that, and we'll leave the viewers to make their own decisions on that. Now, just to start to close this off, of course, John was questioning you, questioning Bruce, who filled his boots for him, and Bruce, ironically, did the whole thing online, which is what you asked John Smith to do, and he refused, strangely. Couldn't do that, but okay for Bruce to do. Did John Smith attack Bruce? No. Did John Smith attack you? No. Did he attack Angelos at first? No. He attacked me, didn't he? Okay. And because he knew he'd got private and personal information on me that would destroy my marriage and destroy my family home. Okay. Because he knew he could blackmail me, didn't he? Okay. And say, as long as we work together, there's no need for that common law court. So the irony is that he convened a common law court against me. Okay. Not you, Dolores, not Bruce. Okay. Not Angelos, me. So I suggest John Smith had nothing on you. He had nothing on Bruce, nothing on Angelos. But he had very personal, private information about me that I went to him in his professional capacity to ask about. And he thought, I'll tell you what, if Lyndon and Angelos don't play ball, I'll just, without a blink of an eye, destroy his family life. Now, he knows I've got a son with learning difficulties, and you know, you've met my son twice in international waters, haven't you, Dolores? And at the event in Spain, I think my son was with me, and when you came for constable training, my son was with me. So you've met him at least a couple of times. Have you got any thoughts about when you found that John Smith phoned my wife as his duty to say how unlawful I've been? Have you got anything you'd like to say to the viewers about that?
Well, as a woman and as a mother, I think this is disgusting. I'm sorry to use this word. I don't think I've got enough vocabulary in English to express what he's done, because for one, not even the government is allowed to use your private information. So how come somebody who is a friend and who is a promoter of do no harm use that private information to force you into a divorce and force you not being with? I know very well the situation that you have with him, because I've also had my own issues with my adopted daughter, and I know there are children who, for whatever reason, they need a special attention, and I've seen you taking care of him, and I admire you for that. I know he's very close to you, and to have to now move out from your own house because of this circumstance, this is clearly being provoked by John. And I don't think he can sleep at peace, having done that to you, because the family situations are always difficult, but we don't need any extra help in making them even more difficult. You know, we have a saying in Spanish, you know, with friends like that, you don't need any enemies.
We have it in English as well, Dolores. Yes, yeah. Well, Dolores, thank you very much for shining some light on the events in Spain, and thank you very much for everything you do for the freedom movement. I think you're a shining light in what you do. Okay, you're just fantastic. And great. So I think I'm going to give you the last word on this interview. Thank you very much for your time.
I would like people to look at all the facts, to look at all the evidence, and work out their own conclusions. I've always worked in good faith with John Smith, with the people, with you. I can make mistakes because I'm human, but there is always goodwill and good faith. And I was expecting at least the same one. Thank you so much, Lyndon. And Angelos and Bruce, because the three of you showing up in Spain made it for a fantastic event and very inspiring and full of hope for the future, for this movement that we are all engaged in.